say you want to buy the renminbi, you want to buy Chinese assets, but the currency is not fully convertible. So what are you going to buy? How are you going to buy a piece of China?
It's legal for foreigners to have bank accounts in China. It's legal for foreigners to buy real estate in China. It's legal for foreigners to buy things in China. I have bank accounts in China. I own Chinese shares. There are ways to invest in China, in the renminbi. And there are ways to invest in the renminbi, and there are ways to invest in China.
So you're buying real estate? That's one of your
No,
China
I have
plays,
no
or?
real estate in China. No. I think the real estate, back to what I might have been misquoted on saying 2 or 3 years ago, is that I would not buy Chinese real estate because I suspect that there's going to be problems in Chinese real estate in the foreseeable future.
When you buy Chinese stocks, you're buying through the QFII?
That's one way you can buy. You can buy them in Hong Kong. Most of your viewers will have to buy them in Hong Kong or Singapore or London or Japan or America. There are lots of ways to buy Chinese shares. You can buy the QFII if you want to, but to my mind, a better way is to buy them outside of the country because, as you probably know, you can have the same share trading in Shanghai or Hong Kong, and it trades at a 40 or 50% discount. With all due respect, I don't know why anybody would buy in Shanghai when they can buy in Hong Kong the same thing at a big discount.
So you think there is a bubble forming in the Chinese market right now?
There's an incipient bubble. There's a potential bubble. I'm not sure it's a bubble yet. Scratch that. I don't think it's a bubble yet. If it keeps going up the way it is, if it's up another 40% by February, then I'll have to sell. Then it'll be a full-fledged bubble. I don't want to have to sell. I want to own my Chinese. I want my daughter to own my Chinese shares someday. But if a bubble develops, I'll have to sell.
So, is there anything else that you're investing in besides shares, besides not property? Are you buying factories? Are you buying into
China?
Yeah, into Chinese.
No, I own Chinese shares. I've owned many Chinese shares. I first started buying Chinese shares in 1999. I've never sold a single Chinese share. I bought some more 8 shares a couple of weeks ago. 8 shares, not in China itself, but companies that are Chinese companies. The renminbi and those shares are all I own in China. I wouldn't buy real estate, and I know I wouldn't buy any A shares now. I don't think I'm going to be buying many more shares of any kind, unless if something happens and makes the market go down for 30 or 40%, then I'll buy more shares in China. And by the way, that would be very good for China. I know it may sound strange to say somebody who owns Chinese shares to say it'd be good for stocks to go down 30 or 40%. But if they don't, there's very likely to be a bubble, and bubbles always end very badly. The Japanese stock market is 70% below where it was 17 years ago. They had a bubble in Japan. It is 17 years later, and it is still 70% below where it was 17 years ago.
I'm still a little unclear. You say you want to buy the renminbi, but you won't buy property, you won't buy A shares. What will you buy in renminbi? What renminbi assets can you buy? Because you're talking about
cash. Renminbi.
So you're buying cash. It's not a freely convertible currency, so you've got quite strict limits on that. $50,000 a year. So you're buying $50,000 worth of renminbi. That's all? Or?
No, you can buy more than that. You can have a bank account. I mean, if I get paid in renminbi, I get paid in renminbi. Some people pay me, for doing things in China. They pay me in renminbi. I put them in the bank. That's perfectly legal. And
Sure.
I don't know if you get paid in renminbi or what, but as you know, it's legal for foreigners to earn renminbi.
I hear you recently met with Li Jiaxiang, the head of Air China. Are you interested in Chinese airlines?
Well, I own the shares. I've owned Chinese airlines for a year or two. So yes. But I told you, I've never sold a single Chinese share. So any Chinese share I've ever owned, I still own. Would I buy them today? Probably not. I told you I wouldn't buy most shares in Shanghai or Shenzhen today. I might buy them outside the country if I find something special.
So you own Air China shares. Do you own any other airlines, Chinese airlines? And what's your particular view on the sector?
I own several Chinese airlines, 5 or 6 of them. I'd have to go back and check the exact number. I'm optimistic about airlines pretty much worldwide, certainly in China. And so I own airlines in a lot of countries, but especially in China. I know I own more in China than I do elsewhere, but I do own airline shares in other countries as well.
The Chinese press seems to think that you predicted the rebound in the mainland stock market. Was that just luck, or...?
Who knows? I sometimes get it right, but yes, I was here in 2004, and I told them all that, the Chinese stock market is going to go down a lot, much to their horror. I was even censored on a couple of TV shows. They wouldn't show them for a while. And then I came back a year or so later and said, hey guys, now it's time to buy shares. So I happen to have gotten it right a couple of times in China. But I make plenty of mistakes, don't worry. Just because I got China right, I'm sure there are other places I've gotten terribly wrong. Not sure, I know I have.
So what's your view on China's new sovereign wealth fund? What do you think have you talked to them? Have you met with them? What do you think they're looking at?
I know some of the people from a year or two ago. Well, we'll see. It's very simple. What do I think of it? I think it's probably a wise thing. It's certainly better than sitting there buying U.S. dollars and buying U.S. Treasury bills or Treasury bonds. So it's a smart thing. Let's see how they do. Let's see what they do with it.
Do you think they'll have any political problems when they come to buying assets in particularly the U.S.?
Well, I hope they don't, but I suspect they will. But I think they probably know that by now. I doubt if they're going to go in there and buy 50% of IBM right off the bat or something. I think they're probably wise enough, for everybody is, with the recent experience that happened not just to them, but to some other pools of capital. And I suspect they'll be diplomatic, at least for a while. The first effort, by the way, was a terrible mistake in my view. They bought, Blackstone, as you probably know. But I mean, buying private equity funds in 2007 is insanity. That's why Blackstone was selling. They know it's insanity to be buying at this stage. 30 years ago, private equity was brilliant. 20 years ago, it was brilliant. 2007, it's not so brilliant.